So, you think VS Code is just for developers, right? Well, you might be missing out on its biggest secret. For support engineers, this thing isn't just an editor, it's a diagnostic superpower. Okay, let's dive into how you can use it to completely change your workflow.
We have all been there. Your day kicks off with a new ticket, and attached is this thing. A giant, unreadable, single line of JSON. A log dump that just makes your eyes glaze over before you've even had that first sip of coffee.
And what's the usual play? You open it in some basic text editor. Then maybe you copy-paste it into a separate log viewer. And then you have to flip over to an API client like Postman to actually investigate anything. All that switching back and forth. It's such a time waster. But what if you could do it all in one place?
Okay, so the very first step is to turn that intimidating wall of text into something a human can actually read. We're going to go from total chaos to crystal clarity. And you know what the best part is? It takes just a single command.
Say hello to your new best friend, Format Document. That's Shift-Option-F on a Mac or Shift-Alt-F on Windows and Linux. Just watch this. One keystroke and boom. That tangled mess of a line instantly becomes a beautifully indented, perfectly structured, and readable JSON file. This isn't just about making it pretty. It's about seeing the structure of the data immediately.
All right, now that we can actually read the log, it's time for the real work, the analysis. And this is where VS Code really stops being just an editor and becomes this high-powered investigation tool. Let's see how we can build on that first step to get some real analytical power.
So on the left, you've got a standard log file. Sure, it's readable, but it's a sea of sameness. Now check out the after view on the right. With a simple extension called Log File Highlighter, VS Code just automatically color codes everything. Your eyes are instantly drawn to what matters. Errors pop out in red, warnings in orange. You're not looking for a needle in a haystack anymore. The needles are practically glowing.
And the power just keeps coming. With regex search, you can hunt for really complex patterns, not just simple text, but specific error codes or user IDs. Then, once you've found what you need, there's the showstopper, multi-cursor editing. You select a bunch of lines, hit one command, and bam, you have a cursor on every single line. This lets you edit, copy, or delete all at once. It's an absolute game changer for pulling data out of logs.
So we've tamed those messy, unstructured logs. But what about all the structured config files we deal with like JSON and YAML? You know, the files where one misplaced comma can bring everything crashing down. Let's see how VS Code helps us avoid that nightmare.
The secret sauce here is something called a JSON schema. The easiest way to think about it is like a blueprint or a rulebook for your configuration file. Once you tell VS Code to use a schema for your file, it suddenly understands the file structure. It knows what's supposed to be there and what isn't.
And this is the payoff. You get automatic validation that flags errors with those little red squiggles before you ever deploy anything. You get IntelliSense, which is basically autocomplete for your configs, saving you from having to look up documentation all the time. And for those giant files, you can just fold up the sections you don't care about to navigate easily. The bottom line is, you're catching mistakes way earlier and writing better configs faster.
Okay, we've analyzed our logs, we've fixed our configs. Now it's time to actually test a fix or try to reproduce a bug, which almost always means firing off some API calls. But guess what? You don't have to leave the editor for that either.
This quote really just nails it. There's an extension called REST Client, and it gives you all the core power of a tool like Postman, but it's lightweight, fast, and it lives right inside your workspace. No more app switching.
And here's the best part. Your API requests, they literally become simple text files. You can write them out, add comments to explain what they do, and because they're just text, you can check them into Git. That means your whole team can share, review, and reuse the exact same API calls for troubleshooting. It's API testing as code, and it's amazing for collaboration.
So we've seen all these individual features, right? Now let's put it all together. Let's walk through solving a real-world incident from beginning to end, all inside one single window.
Okay, so here's the scenario. A customer sends over a 2 megabyte JSON log dump. Step 1, we open it. It loads instantly, no lag. Step 2, we format it and use a regex search to find every single line with the word error. Step 3, we use our multi-cursor trick to select only the timestamps from those error lines and copy them. And finally, step 4, we paste those timestamps into a .http file and use the REST client to ask another service what was happening at those exact moments.
And there you have it. 4 steps: open, format, extract, and investigate, all done inside one single window. That entire process, from a chaotic mess of a file to a precise,
targeted investigation, all happened in one unified tool. No juggling apps, no context switching, just a seamless, efficient workflow that gets you to the answer way, way faster.
So the takeaway here is pretty clear. Mastering VS Code isn't about learning to code, it's about optimizing your entire diagnostic process. And that leaves me with one final question for you to think about. What other part of your daily workflow could you pull inside your editor?